are there for the fry thing specifically to
Hmm.
kind of break it to
I love the
a,
fry thing.
a microcosm of the whole thing? What other ways? What are all the ways to deal with this, and what result would be desirable? I guess the top result is him not throwing fry
It's
tips
eat
at
the whole
people.
fry. Just want to eat the whole fry. Like that's it. Like he's like I said, he's wasting the best part. So that's the desirable effect. If that's not going to be the case, which I assume it will be later on when his teeth are, I guess, a little tougher. Just put the fries on the plate. Like I don't know why you wasted fries like that. And it'd be funny because it'd be like fries
Okay,
like
see that's what took me right there. You
yeah.
said, I don't know why he's wasting fries like that. I feel like A, he doesn't know either.
He
Not
doesn't.
really.
He just doesn't like that. Yeah.
But B, he has no concept of like the value of fries.
Nope.
Or this is where it comes, I think, a lot of that old eat everything on your plate thing is because children and babies waste a lot of food,
Oh my God.
but he doesn't have any concept of like wasting food is not something that's relevant
No,
to his thinking, right?
not at all.
So
He wastes a lot of food. I'm gonna start making him pay for food now. It's a good idea. Make
I
him
mean
start
that
paying
is a
for food.
possible tactic of
How
giving him
much
like
he got
a
toward these fries, bro? He's just two
yeah, like
ninety
bringing a
nine.
consequence to it. People
Yeah,
do stuff like that.
he does have a
Now,
piggy
so
bank.
I don't know if this is like overstepping as a parent, because sometimes they're like, don't do too much, but like, what about cutting the fry tips, ripping them off or whatever pre-fry? How did
We,
that
we
work?
we tried that too, but again, that's just like a lot of work. Like, I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we
You just
have
don't feel like
tried
doing
this.
that every time.
Yeah, like I mean, again, it's a box of like 40 fries. We give him a bunch of fries. I'm not trying to put all the because then if we do that once, he's gonna especially now he's gonna expect that every time. And we did that a couple times when he was younger because as his teeth were developing, he just could not bite them. And I think that's where it might actually stem from is because he doesn't even really even try them anymore. He just like pulls them
The
off
teeth.
or like bites through them and bites the end and throws them. So it probably stems from that potentially. Again, I don't know. Maybe I'll ask him next time he's throwing them on the ground. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I have pulled them off, and then sometimes he just eats them without issue. So it's a crapshoot,
Yeah,
man.
it is. It is, sure. Okay.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's tough.
French
It's
fries are a
tough.
big topic in the household.
Um, hmm. I guess we're we're gonna get off the fry thing, I think, for
Okay.
now. But there's still a lot of interesting angles to it, I think. So we'll be looking forward to fry updates.
I'll give you Frygate updates.
Frygate, yeah, Frygate updates. Write
That's
that
a new
down.
segment sponsored by McDonald's.
Okay, so you guys are moving soon.
Oh, gas. 1 week. Moves are
Okay.
the worst,
Yeah,
especially.
we moved obviously in the fourth month of her life. Um, which as far as moving a baby, that's probably a as good a time, probably a
Yeah.
pretty good time because she's pretty unaware of everything, and we moved to a place that she was familiar with. We
Hmm.
lived close to her grandmother, her mom's mom, and we had been over here a lot, and she had slept
Okay.
over here during the had naps over here before, so it wasn't. But you guys are moving to a place. Well, Legend Street, so he's been there before,
Yeah,
right?
he's been there. Yeah, it's a pretty comfortable place. We go there pretty often, so
Yeah,
it's going to be a known environment. People that around him, his
yeah,
cousins and all. Like I said, a lot of family. So
yeah. You
the
mentioned
move
that.
itself, yeah, the move itself for him is going to be easy. He's like, oh, I've been here before, so yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that about family being around, and that is something that he doesn't have now,
Besides me
and that
and my wife, yeah, yeah. Besides just that's us, only family he knows.
he's got his parents around.
That's it.
But like, yeah, extended family, and that was something that you didn't have, and your wife did or didn't have.
Not our cousins and stuff. So like, I grew up in Michigan. Most of my family was in Minnesota or South Carolina.
Yeah,
It was from the Bay, and a lot of her family was like in Chicago or like the Midwest area. So we didn't
right.
have that extended network or like grandma to come hang out with them or cousins to see it all the time. So we thought it was a good opportunity at this time to do that before we really like, okay, now we gotta settle down and
Well, she has
do.
more family in the Bay now than like she did growing up,
It's
or is it just like
so.
grandma?
Exactly, yeah. So like she didn't have like her grandma or like her aunts and
Oh, so
cousins.
like her siblings will be. She has siblings in the Bay.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they grew
Exactly.
up. Yeah, yeah. Because I didn't. So I was in a town in Indiana called Michigan City, which is
Okay.
right on Lake Michigan,
Michigan City.
right on Lake Michigan, next to Michigan. So it was Michigan City. But
Is it
these
below
are
the moon?
these are state cities. There's a lot of state cities.
Yes. Michigan
Kansas
City,
City,
Indiana. Yeah.
Missouri,
Yeah,
New
exactly.
York City, New York, Michigan
Exactly.
City, Indiana, and there's others. I used to
There's
have a
others.
whole list
Yeah.
in my brain, but there's other state cities. So,
Yeah. Iowa
but
City,
I
Iowa.
we did have family on my dad's side that were in Gary, which is about a half hour,
Okay.
give or take away, maybe a little less.
Yeah.
But they weren't a part of my life really.
Mm.
It was like maybe saw them growing up just a couple times a year,
Yeah.
and it's like we weren't close cousins or anything. And it was only two cousins. I actually didn't have a lot of children on my dad's side, even though he had um three sisters and a brother. So
Okay.
it was like three cousins, all male too. My sister was the only female on
Oh
that side of the
wow.
family. But
That's
yeah,
funny.
just weren't like tight or close knit or like really involved in each other's life in any like significant way. And then
Yeah.
my mom's side of the family was far away in Baltimore
Oh wow, yeah.
on the
That's
coast in Maryland. Yeah.
yeah.
So it was a similar thing, where we wouldn't didn't grow up. Their family, but at least in my neighborhood, like my actual like, my neighborhood, there were kids
Hmm.
around the same age, like every other house,
Yeah.
you know. And not that I liked all these kids or they all liked me but
They were just
at
there.
different times we all would play different games together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there were some kids like, oh, playing basketball, these kids will hoop, or
Yeah.
we're bike riding, these kids have bikes, or these kids these are the ones that are the same age to like bike together, not too
Yeah.
old and too fast or too young and too small,
That's
or
funny.
playing
Growing up in the
tag, or
Midwest
we
is very similar.
yeah,
Same thing, like again, same thing as us. Like the whole neighborhood was kids, and you just picked and chose. Like we played hockey with them, we played baseball with them, we played football with them. Yeah, that's funny.
yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
So that was and I know it's just different in a lot of places now,
Yeah, not as
where there aren't
communal.
kids in every neighborhood, and
Yeah,
yeah, not as communal. You can't even like be outside as much.
you gotta be careful whose kids you let play with your kids. Like
Yeah.
everything, things have changed now, and kind of going back also to that, it's like another reason we wanted to do this is because yeah, part of the podcast is 40 Black and Dad. As an older dad, and he has no siblings right now. Like if something did happen to us, we'd at least want him to know family that he could still kind of share that bond with. Like if I passed away or my
Okay,
wife
so what
passed
are you
away.
talking about? Because you started that with like as an older dad,
Yeah.
but something could happen to a younger dad too. So what are you talking about
That's
specifically?
true, but again, a younger dad probably might not. I mean, they might not. This is something I that we consciously thought about. A younger dad might not
Right.
think. In 23,
Mm,
I live forever. Like at 23, I never thought about mortality or like when I'm 40. Like, but now at 40, I'm like, well, I mean,
you're
45.
consciously thinking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see now, like, I see people pass away all the time from heart attacks at 41, 42, 43. Diabetes, cancer. There's a lot of things that are out there. That again, men of my age, I'm 41. I have to think about that. So again, I'm not in the best shape of my life at this point, too. So it's like you got to think about these things. Like if something happened to me and my wife, we want to make sure that he at least felt he had some type of family that he had a connection with, because you don't
Mm.
want him to be out there
It,
by
it
himself. So
it would be interesting to ask a younger dad, a sub 30 dad, if having a kid did make him think, because it's kind of an assumption that like
yeah,
because
it's
you're
true.
40,
Yeah,
you're thinking about these things, and like, well, I wouldn't have if I was younger, but I don't know that. I need
That's
to
true.
like
Yeah, that's
we need to
true.
do some maybe we need to do some
I just know
research.
20, like younger 20 or even 30-year-old Tony wasn't necessarily thinking about that, but and I also didn't have a
You
kid.
didn't have
So
any kids.
yeah,
You
that's
didn't have
that's a good
kids.
thought. That'd be a good poll to take for sure. But yeah, for us specifically, that's one of the main reasons. Just again to have that bond even while young. So then as they grow older, they can go hang out together. And like now, as I've gotten older, me and my cousins do plan trips. Like we'll do a cousins trip, or we'll see each other on vacations, or we'll hang out, or we'll talk, we'll text more often because we saw each other about probably twice a year. So Christmas and then summer we did like a 2 week thing, like 2 weeks in Minnesota for Christmas or 2 weeks in South Carolina for
Hmm.
summer, and then that's where we formed those
Oh
bonds.
yeah, well you guys
Yeah,
actually are pretty close then, even if you didn't
yeah,
grow up together, but you know somehow there was still like a bond that was formed.
yeah.
You know.
And the good thing is like one of my cousins came and lived with us when she was going to like med school. So we formed a bond right around college age right at that time. So we formed a bond. And then obviously with the advent of social media and text and things like that, it's easier to kind of have those bonds now at this age, even though we did establish those as early as other people might have.
Yeah. But see, I haven't really established those with my family. So I guess that's what I was speaking to. It's like you guys still found,
Yeah.
a way to be close. And I wonder, because you guys do these vacations, but a lot of that,
That's it.
like
Yep.
when did that start? Like the
It,
cruises, you guys go on cruises.
yeah,
I'm sure
great
that's where a
question.
lot of that bonding happens. So,
100%. That's correct. So that started, so before I moved out to California, so I think the first one we went on was 2008.
so
So
post college for you,
post college, exactly. Yep.
would you say those bonds were what were the bonds like maybe before that, but after like high school, like in that
Yeah, great
period of
question.
time?
So I have like two or three cousins I'm really, really close with. They're pretty much my same age. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
But those cruises and those vacations allowed me to get closer to some of my other cousins that I hadn't really kept up with, like the siblings of my, the cousins I know and the aunts and uncles. And it's just a good way for us to kind of keep up, even if it's every 2 years, at least you see them and the prep leading up to the vacation, everybody starts to talk like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and then the 2 weeks after the vacation, everybody kind of talks. So we get those little moments where it's not just we're meeting for a funeral, meeting for a wedding. We're meeting every 2 years for this as well, for some fun and to see what everybody's doing.
Right, right. So yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And but those cruises were facilitated by your parents,
Yeah, my mom, yeah, she's a travel agent, so just she
your
loved to
mom
travel.
specifically. Because I was saying like everybody's parents, but like your mom specifically was like, did she start the initiative of like we need to do this? I guess it's a question.
Yeah, good question. So the cruises are called Wham cruises. So Rag, Hicks, and Maddox. So my last name, my mother, so my aunt's last name, and then my mom's maiden name. So it started those three families, which is my mom's side, and then we included my dad's side because my
Right.
mom and
But
dad's
here's a
been married for
question:
years. Yeah.
is your mom singularly like was she like I'm gonna start doing this, or was like her and her sister they were like we need to do this, and then like I guess what is the exact point of origin?
My mom and my aunt Peggy started it. So my mom
That's really
Rag and my aunt Peggy Hicks, and then their maiden name is Maddox. So
yeah.
those they
So
started it and they just came up with a cool name and then invited everybody.
I think what I'm leading to with all this is how important it is, and this is what exactly what you guys are doing. That your parents really facilitate your relationships with your extended family. There's
Exactly.
only so much a kid can do,
Yeah.
even as an adult. Because when you're an adult, if those relationships aren't formed, it's hard to be like to cold call your cousin and be like, let's
Exactly.
hang out or let's take a vacation before. But if your parents are like, we're doing this family thing, everybody has to come.
Hmm.
Even if you're 26, you're like,
I'm gonna go.
and then you're gonna make the best, and especially if your cousins, if you're around the same age, and it's kind of
Yeah.
easy. Like this is who I'm hanging out with. This is.
Yeah.
We want to get back kind of to the move specifically before we
Okay.
move on.
Good.
So before the pod earlier, you were like, yeah, you're gonna be. What specific things are you doing before, um, just putting boxes in a truck to prepare for the move?
Yeah, so the good thing is we do have movers coming on Friday to help us with the majority of like the big stuff, but like for us specifically, like we're not taking the couch we have, so we got to get rid of that. We got to figure out if I can Goodwill it or sell it or just trash it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that we're putting into storage that we're not going to need for the instant future, like some baby stuff that we had, like a bunch of Legends baby clothes. We're not going to need those right away. Old desks and just stuff that you've
You're putting
accumulated.
them into storage here and
No, no,
where you
we
are
have
now.
there's storage up there. Yeah, there's
So
like
they're
five.
they're
Yeah,
all boxed away, and the movers are bringing them with you.
that's correct. Yeah, yeah. So the majority of what I'll
So you
be
just
doing
have a lot of
is
stuff to box up still.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's always more than you kind of think it is.
That's why my wife keeps saying, "Don't let her hear you say that." I'm like, "No, baby, it'll be fine." She's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Okay." Yes, it's a
No,
lot, right? Especially the garage.
it's always, oh man, you guys got a garage, Jesus.
Yeah, full of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's there's just you just accumulate more than you realize,
Hmm.
and then you put stuff in like the back of the closet or a back drawer one day, and then you find it again when it's time to move, and you're like, I could have just
Right?
thrown this away. Why
It's-
did now I
and
have
I'm
to
a
move with
hoarder.
it? Yeah.
I'm a hoarder
Oh,
too. So like, oh
you just
yeah.
collect a
So
bunch of stuff.
yeah, I collect them, and my wife hates it. Like, so I don't know if you ever did this or like I collect like the plastic bags from the grocery stores. Like
Everybody got a
I,
few drawers of those.
bro,
Everybody
and
black at least.
she
Everybody black
hates
and Mexican.
everybody. So like it's funny when I lived with G, our friend Jermaine in Cincinnati, I had like the whole under the sink, like that whole cabinet of under the sink was just
Yeah.
all bags. And he used to get so mad at me, like, no, just in case, man. But he never use them. But yeah,
You
so
never use them. Yeah.
never.
That's like
He'd
the
steal
least
them
of
away.
because at least those have no weight.
That's true. So you could store like 1,000 of them in a very small space.
So I'm gonna try to talk about this without um insulting anybody.
Okay.
But so as you know, and maybe well, we don't have that many listeners, but if we get new listeners who tune in, so I had a staying at my in-laws' house, this old house, and we had a fire 2 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago,
Hmm.
in the backyard, in the shed, or her granddad's shed.
Yeah.
It was a actually not insignificant fire. There was a lot of smoke that came through the that was happening. And what happened was it was so much that the police were on the block for something
Mm.
else, and they saw it. But then when I talked to somebody came by later and had the Citizen app. So from the other side of the street, somebody had recorded it, and you could see it on the Citizen app. And I was like,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
it wasn't a coincidence that the police saw it because they were on our block. You could see it
Oh, wow.
from a distance. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we live about a half a mile from like a major street from
Hmm.
Crenshaw, and the back of our house is a major street. So I'm like, oh, the fire department just could have been driving around, or anybody could have seen it and called in.
Yeah.
So they came and put it out, and this was when it was 100+ degrees
Mm.
out here, right? So
LA
that
summer.
that heat wave. Did you guys get the heat wave too? I feel like it was
We
even
we
like
did, but it was nothing like again, a heat wave in San Diego is like anything over like 85. And it was like it actually did get to like 90, probably maybe mid to high
how did it
90s.
not get hotter in San Diego?
Well, because remember, okay, everybody's bubble. So my part is saying that we're fairly close, to the ocean. So we still get a little bit of the ocean breeze. But yeah, I mean, they're
Mm,
like if you go a little bit east, like where it's a little drier, like I mean, it got to the hundreds, for sure,
mm.
inland maybe like 5-10 miles over. But where I'm at specifically, probably the mid 90s is where we saw most of the time.
So it was, yeah, blazing hot in LA and 100 degrees. So the fire is like, well, so speaking of hoarding and a bunch of stuff, in this shed, there's nothing important, nothing relevant,
That's being
nothing,
used currently.
or within the last couple of decades, except for some stuff that we had to put in there when we moved
Oh
that we
no.
haven't using, but nothing like there's like a fan and an
Yeah.
electric heater and some cleaning supplies, like a couple mops and household things, not
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know,
No
not like,
valuables were in said garage or shed.
right. There might have been some things that could have been worth some money,
Okay.
but I don't even know if they were in the right condition to be resold, you know?
I love how you're being very specific, and I like your word choices. Good job.
Well, like there's old things I've seen going through the rummage. So anyway, I
Yeah.
was like, man, could this have been worth some money? And then I look at it closer and I'm like, maybe a mint condition version of this would have been worth money. But this is
30
like
years
no,
ago, this was good. Yeah.
this is like an old record or
Yeah.
old piece of analog technology that we don't use anymore. But it's like if it still works, it could have got maybe $50 for it.
Yeah.
And then there's like tools that hypothetically you could still resell
Yeah.
because her, granddad was and still does some, and he probably shouldn't be. Architectural work,
Okay.
contracting. He doesn't do the work himself, but he'll build the plans and he has his guys to do the work.
Yeah.
So
That makes
nothing of use in this shed, and I actually probably got to be careful because we're still dealing with insurance and stuff.
Oh yeah. Don't say nothing. There's $10 million
Uh,
worth of stuff in that shed, guys.
yeah, we had winning lottery
Art,
tickets.
yeah,
We had
artifacts,
gold bullion.
two Monets.
So they cleared up. So the fire department put the fire out. They had to clear out the shed. So everything is like in the backyard,
Hmm.
like where I'm literally looking at it right now.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot of burnt wood and things are melted and stuff, and just the volume of junk collected. And like we already were needing to demolish the shed, get rid of everything, and then the side of the
Hmm.
house also has a bunch of junk and like old tools and workbenches and stuff. You talking about moving and getting rid of stuff and having stuff that's just accumulated, and like, her dad is, walks with a cane. He's really old and has his physical problems, but this stuff back here that just doesn't make any sense. There's like, you know, over a half dozen ladders. There's more shovels and like tools with handles, and I can count. It's like, why do you have so many?
That's funny, just in case.
And it's really frustrating to deal with because like one, it's going to cost money to get rid of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I feel like could have been avoided for our sake. And two, um, it cuts down on the space we have,
Oh yeah.
especially now when everything's just thrown in the backyard because they had to, take care of the fire and everything. It's like
Hmm.
we can use this backyard as a place to play for a baby. And we can use the side of the house to like pull the cars up so there's more room out front or
Hmm.
to use that for something. Um so it's a lot to deal with
Hmm.
on top of like renovations. We need in the house, and you had mentioned that before too, of like renovations
Yeah.
her mom wants to do and you guys are moving there. And so the other thing I was gonna say is like, see the renovations, get it clearing the stuff out. Oh, as an example of like, because old people, I had this tweet. It was like, old people are like, man, you start talking to them and they're like, well, might as well get rid of it. Can't take it with me.
Yeah.
They can't take it with me. Can't take it with me. But when you put your hand on it, they're like, oh, don't touch that. Don't move that.
I love that thing. That's mine. That's my favorite.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, so you can't take it with you, or you want to
To
just
take it
be
with you.
staring at it as you die. And I do think that as you get older, it's important. And I've never been a huge like hoarder of things, but
Hmm.
again, when we moved here, I still was like, man, I got so much stuff. It even cemented more in my mind to be aware of like things that I have.
Hmm.
Because as you get older, it's like you're really just leaving work for your kids. And like when my mom's mom died, the work they had to do to clean out her house in Baltimore has always stuck with me. And when we left our house in Indiana and we're finally like out of it, it took us
Hmm.
a long time to like sell that house. And we even had to put money into it to like renovate different parts of it
Yeah.
to sell it, And it's like, if you die, your kids just have to deal with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just not fair in a lot
Yeah.
of ways, to think ahead and be like, oh, okay, you're 60, it's like maybe now it's time to do a certain renovation that clears out a lot of stuff. And you're 70,
Mhm.
it's like it's time to reevaluate what's the more stuff we can get rid of, because
Every 10 years, just do a checklist.
literally every 10 years, because
Start
like
start
just
dating stuff. Anything that's over anything past this
bro,
date.
you got to get
Yeah,
a label maker, and whenever you buy something, just be like 2024, 2025,
exactly.
just so you know.
And then expiration date, like this is a 5-year expiration. This is a 10-year expiration. Yeah. That's
Like a wish date. Like this is the longest I would wish to have this, would be if I had this for more than 10 years and it's more than paid for
no,
itself.
that's a good idea. I
And if you
wish
find it and it's like, this is 13 years old, I said 10, I have to get rid of it. Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no point
by
in,
law. Yeah.
in keeping
Good
it.
idea.
And then there'd be like very few things that could be like family heirlooms, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And hopefully most of those things are like lighter in weight, but they would have to have a
No oak
reason.
dressers. Yeah, no
They
oak
have to,
dressers.
yeah, no big oak dressers, man. All those,
Every older person has a big oak dresser somewhere
bro,
in the house. Or multiple,
bro,
actually.
multiple. And just as an example, the one thing I'm like looking at, I keep looking at, and I told, who did I tell? I told somebody about this. I was like, so we had to buy them a new washer and dryer maybe 4 or 5 years ago, just
Okay.
before COVID, I think.
Okay.
And I think it was maybe after we moved in, moving stuff into the back, and I'm back here and I'm like, there's a tarp. I look under the tarp. I'm like, oh, that's the old washer and dryer. Why didn't you just get rid of that? Why didn't you call your guys and have them take that somewhere? Why do I have to deal with that now? You know what I mean?
Were they gonna try to fix it?
No,
But
it's
no,
just
they
back
just kept it.
here.
They just kept it.
Heat. It's just back here soaking in the sun, getting a tan. You
That's
know what I mean?
yeah.
And then there's all kind of stuff which I'll tell you offline.
Yeah. I get you. Yeah. That's
But it's
funny.
like you could have just gotten rid of this stuff, but now we have to deal with it.
Instead of
So,
right to the back, they could just put it right to the front and just gone the
and
next
I think
day.
maybe we talked about this on the last pod, or maybe a couple pods before when we had a tandem meet. It's like keepsakes and things. It's like,
Yeah,
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 what are the things that are really gonna mean something to your kid that you want to pass down? Because
yeah.
it's not an old washer and dryer, especially when we replaced it. It's not like it's not like you know. It would
That's
be better
funny.
if they had like a hand wash thing. It's like, yeah,
Oh, no, not the one of the
yeah,
ones river.
no, yeah. If they had like a river one and it was like your great grandma used this, your grandma used this,
Pass it
your mom
down.
learned how to use it, so we're passing this down, and it's like
Yeah.
everybody like scribbled or something in it, and like this is actually a lineage to like post slavery family
Oh no.
that was made in the 1900s. Like that's like an heirloom. That's something that like survived
And
multiple generations,
It's also small.
and it's something because they had to carry it to the river, so it's like
Exactly.
not heavy. But like nobody wants your old desk, and
Mhm.
like and it's crazy because some of these things are like you can't make those now.
Yeah.
Like they're
That's
made with materials, they're made to last, but nobody wants them.
yeah.
And in LA, if you drive in central LA, like in real LA, there's all kind of old furniture stores. And like
Yeah.
these old like Eastern Europeans that live out here and stuff, like they still trade in those. Like sometimes they
Hmm.
buy them or they give their old ones, but I'm like, there is no current market for a 200-pound desk or dresser or bed frame. You know what I mean? Like
You're not putting that
this is
on
why IKEA
marketplace.
thrives.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because
exactly.
it's like
Yeah, exactly.
lightweight, easy to put together, easy to take
Yeah.
apart if you need to.
Yeah. If you
This is
break
how
it, like
people
I
are
mean, it's
living.
only $50. I'll get enough. Like, and that's exactly like, yeah, you're not breaking a bunk bed from the 1970s. I think is made of cedar block, cedar wood, and it's still
Bro.
it hasn't aged today. But the ones
You
at
know?
IKEA, if you broke it, it's $50. Let's make a new one. It's fine.
So the idea of like permanence that I think our great our grandparents had that they
Hmm.
passed on to our parents is just not desirable.
No,
And
no.
it's like not only are people less stationary in that way,
Hmm.
we're also aesthetics change.
Yeah.
Like those old designs are like like I don't want a lot of stuff that looks like a grandma stuff. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want this old grandma dresser or these old grandma drapes. You know,
That's funny.
you didn't want to look at stuff like that at a certain age. So
Yeah.
I think
The wood look is not in anymore, and it will never probably be back in. Like
probably not, not like that. You know,
not
they'll
not like
like
that. Yeah.
they'll slim them down because a lot of them have like designs and things hanging off the side,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, that
Tops.
just makes it
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to place in the room. And I'm not one that's all like everything needs to be square and fit perfectly, but I am one that's like things got to make sense to us now,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah,
Just
like
more
this is
sleek. Yeah.
a house that's been in gonna be at least two generations. We want to pass this house on,
Yeah.
but not in the form that it is. It got to be a updated house. And then when she gets her, 30s, for instance, and maybe we're looking to give her the house, and she can update it for herself. It's more
Yeah.
about having this space is more important. It's the real estate that's
The
important
land. Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
more than the structure of the house, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to give her that structure when she turns 30. That'd be unsafe. Right?
We, we were trying to tell granddad, we were like, the whole house needs to be renovated. He was like, why? I was like, this stuff is not going to last another like 40, 50 years of us living here. He's like, yeah, it will. I'm like,
I mean,
oh,
if they have solid oak furniture, it might
hey,
actually,
look,
to his credit. So,
like he's saying that, and I'm looking at a wall with cracks in it. I'm like, these cracks are going to get bigger. It's like
just
one
put some
thing
wallpaper on
happens.
that. Put some
It's,
wallpaper on
and it's also like there's a constant wear and tear,
it. Yeah.
you know? So I think sometimes he's like, well, it's fine and it's been fine. It's like, yeah, but every day something's hitting it.
It's,
We're walking
it's
on it.
it's
Or like,
fine till it breaks. Yeah.
yeah, like if one thing snaps, 20 things will snap,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm looking at where all the cracks are too. So it's like snapping is
Everything
gonna happen.
everything in old houses is always held up by that one beam. We talk about the
Yeah, one
basements
beam.
back in the day. You had the beams in the basement. Like
Yeah,
don't hit that beam because that's it.
yeah.
The whole house is gone.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Which last part of this, so I was on Zillow and I looked up my house that I grew up in
Mhm.
Indiana. And like I said, we did some renovations. We tore down like a shed in the back and had somebody come and do the backyard. And we had converted the garage, so we converted it back to a garage. I looked it up on Zillow, and whoever lives there now had done further renovations. I'm
Oh, okay.
like, man, it looks great. And it's still the same house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was like a kitchen island kind of thing that they tore down and
Oh,
it like
that's cool.
opened up the whole kitchen. I'm like, it doesn't take the character away from a thing
Yeah.
to 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 update it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
that
sense.
was
Yeah.
it.
See, you gotta adjust with the times of what's popular now. Like
Yeah.
the open model, like you said, is super popular. So you want to adjust
And it
with that.
wasn't even that like it made it the open model. It was just like this specific island was awkwardly placed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it was just like something that never really made a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it was just part of how things were designed at the time, you know? But they could have
Mhm.
like removed that and put a door here and it not been open. And that still would have been a better design. It would have been, it gives you a bigger kitchen
Got it.
or a bigger dining room, whichever way you make it an actual door, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Trying to explain it without anybody knowing what it looks like, but I think
So
you
the
guys got the
dimensions
point.
are
Yeah.
that's
All
funny.
right.
Cool,
Well,
cool.
cool. Till next time.
Yes, sir. All right, everyone. Follow like